Hello, 2024. Does anyone else have a feeling that this is going to be a great year? I sure hope so, because I know that I do. And today we are going to be talking about my theme for the year. I decided to do a theme rather than a word. And I cannot wait to share it with you and to spill the tea on all things 2024. Welcome back to the Messy Success Podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Henson. This podcast is your space, your corner of the world to be messy, creative, and ambitious as you want to be. I'm incredibly passionate about helping people do what they love and make a living doing it. We all know that is a messy process, but the messy imperfection, the messy success is what makes it all so beautiful. I'm here to help you build community around your brand so that marketing is easy. There's no such thing as a self-made millionaire, in my opinion. We're all in this together. We shine the light on others, focus on leadership, and our theme here for 2024 is the 1% adventure, where we're getting 1% better every single day. So what do you say we get started? All right, a new intro. What do you guys think? I'm going to batch some episodes today, so this is going to be super interesting. But I said, you know what? It's time to freshen up the intro. We are going all in on this theme for 2024, the 1% adventure, which is what this episode is about. And, I was like, if this is my theme for the year, we're throwing it in the intro. We're spicing it up. 2024 is going to be something special, and I am so incredibly honored and excited to have you here with me, you guys. At the end of every year, we kind of have to evaluate the things we're working on and the things we want to continue, right? Like stop, start, continue. What are we going to stop doing? What are we going to continue doing? And what are we going to start doing? And this doesn't have to happen at the end of the year. You can do this quarterly. You can do it anytime. I just so happen to really sit back and think every time when I take a break from the podcast, like summer and Christmas, and I'm always really evaluating the ROI, my time and energy spent, how passionate I am about it. I'm looking at these things holistically when I make my decisions to stop, start, continue. And while the podcast is a lot of work, sometimes I consider it like the boat of my business, where I feel like I just pour all this money into it, all of this energy into it, and we don't always really know what's happening. I mean, we do get some amazing feedback from you guys, and I truly appreciate that. But the internet is a loud place, and we're having to really re-strategize and think about how to continue to grow the podcast and get more listeners. And long story short, I am so excited to continue with the podcast, because the one thing when people ask me about the podcast and the return and is it worth it, the one thing that I consistently tell them is that people are way more likely to connect with me faster when they listen to the podcast. Because this is the real me. This is where I get the most vulnerable. This is where I share the most behind the scenes. Audio is my preferred method of communication. So it's the real deal. So anybody that listens to the podcast does tend to, attract or repel much faster. And repel is fine too. I'm not for everyone. But so that is the reason why it is always on my continue list. And I just love it. I love it. Like, I'm actually considering doing more episodes if I feel like my team has the bandwidth. So we will see. But I don't want to get too derailed from the conversation today. I am so excited to share this whole 1% adventure thing with you guys. I dreamed up in November or December. It's been a couple months in the making. I didn't just make it up on January 1. And this is not a new concept. So, as much as I would like to say, this is all mine and it's so amazing, it is not at all. I'm sure you guys have heard of the 1% concept. Jasmine Star, who I love, actually is talking about it inside Social Curator this week as well. This is a hot topic. This is not something that I invented. But I did think, if I was going to step up my social media game, which is, something I'd really like to do in 2024, is be a little bit more present on social media, because I tend to just find it not that important. The ROI is not as high as, reaching out to my network individually. It's not as high as my email list. I'm very aware of my business and what actually makes me money. And I want you to be as well, because there's this misconception that social media is everything, right? And that we have to be Insta famous to make money. Well, let me tell you, I know so many people making buckets of money who do not have a large Instagram following. And I'm guilty of this too, where I will go to an Instagram account as soon as I meet someone to try to measure their validation, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like their credibility, the social proof, right? But I am very careful not to judge by the number of followers, but more so the quality of their content. How well branded are they? How consistent are they? I'm looking at factors aside from just that follower count. Because a lot of times it's not even real. Like, people pay for it. Like, you guys, I don't need to get on my soapbox here because you guys are all well aware of this. But I do genuinely want to participate in social media a bit more in 2024 than I have. For a lot of reasons. I want to meet new people. I want to promote the podcast better. Guys, I don't love that word better. It's kind of vague, but we would love to, 4x our amount of listeners. And we have some goals around the podcast. And I know that I have to talk about the podcast on social in order to do that, right? Like, that's how everything works. So I'm very excited to step up my game on social media, but it also means that I wanted a theme, because I asked myself, this is where I was going with that thought. I asked myself, if I was going to show up on social media every day, what would make that easier? And I've started this morning routine, which I'm going to do another episode about, that I do feel like is clearing my mind and giving me the inspiration that I need to have original and unique and inspiring thoughts that I can then share on social media. Because what tends to happen is I just dive in and I start my work day and I'm helping other people and I'm doing my client work, and the good ideas come to me when I'm on the treadmill, when I'm taking a walk. They are not happening magically, like when I sit down at my computer to start my work. Because when we sit down at our computer, we are in reactive mode because everything's coming at us at once, right? We're logged into all of our tabs and everything's coming at us. So no wonder it feels difficult to post something super amazing on social media when we've kind of turned on the engines and everything is talking to us. So I did figure out in 2023 that my good ideas, my words of wisdom, my great things to share, they come from slow and silent moments, not the hustle and bustle. And everyone's different, so hustle and bustle may be your thing, but I tend to be the most inspired when I can turn inwards and really explore the creative thoughts that I'm having. So I knew there's part of me that knows, and I'm still learning to trust it, that there's something about this morning routine and there's something about this desire to show up on social media that are working together. And if I can come up with a theme, that will help me show up every day, because all I have to do is ask myself the same question day in and day out, and I can come up with something, right? So that question was, what did I do today to get 1% better? And this can come from reflection. It doesn't have to come from action. And of course, the day that this idea came to me, or right around the time that this idea came to me, I had a very big lesson. We'll call it like a 10% lesson instead of a 1% lesson. And it was all around being out of coaching context. And again, that's a whole nother rabbit hole for us to go down. But I learned a lesson where I tried to help someone and I was not in rapport to be asking them coaching questions. So it was rejected, right? And I walked away from that saying, oh, I know exactly what I would have done differently there and what I would have said. Like, hey, I'm hearing a pattern. Do you want me to ask you some questions to explore this further? Or, hey, do you want me to use a little bit of my coaching training here? Or do you want me to just listen? Like, I didn't lead with either of those questions. I just kind of dived in like Liz Helper mode. And that coaching context is so incredibly important. So if you're a coach or you want to be a coach, it is like literally everything. And if you notice that people are not listening to you, or they're rejecting your thoughts or opinions or questions, you're probably not within that coaching context. So long story short, I knew that was like kind of a story worth sharing. And I knew that I could close my day and that I became better because I had that moment of reflection. And I said, what if I continue this? And what if every single day I'm reflecting on the 1%? And I got really excited, and it made it feel easy to come up with content for social media if I'm just thinking about that question. And you guys all know that self-development is my love language anyways, and I've been giving myself this permission to, stop thinking that strategy and marketing is the only way to connect with people, right? I can talk about the things that I'm truly passionate about, and the right people will find me. And self-development is one of those things. Honestly, if I had, and this is another reason why I chose this theme, this 1% better theme, because I was like, if there was one thing that I had to talk about for the rest of my life, what would it be? And it would be that self-development bucket, because I can bring it into my health. I can bring it into my exercise. I can bring it into my work. I can bring it into my parenting. That theme throughout all the things in my life is where like my passion thread, my passion commonality is. It's all in self-development and getting better. And so it all of a sudden felt easy to be like, man, I can fuck around with TikTok this year, y'all. Who am I? I am doing a TikTok experiment where I am sharing this 1% adventure on TikTok. And it doesn't always look like reflection, because here's where this decision to go all in on this 1% adventure, here's where my logical mind, the fears, the limited beliefs stepped in. That's hard. Like, some days it's really easy to look back at what I learned and to share it. Some days that's really hard. Some days it's really personal. Some days my self-development lessons involve other people and stories that I can't necessarily share, or not appropriate. I shouldn't say can't or not appropriate. I share a lot here, but I don't share everything, and we don't have to. I am not of the believer that vulnerability means spilling everything. Vulnerability is doing things that are uncomfortable, is going first. Doesn't mean we have to spread, our personal things or stories with my children. Like, they're old enough now that this is their choice, what they want on the internet and what they don't. So I knew there was going to be a part of this 1% journey that is not shareable, and that I needed to still be prepared to show up, to inspire, and to lead every day. So that's where I kind of gave myself permission of maybe 1% that day is an inspiring quote. Maybe it's a theme for the day. That 1% can be anything that we want it to be. So my first day back at work, and I'm like, okay, here we go. Right? Like, I didn't pre-plan all of these. I pre-planned, like a couple of topics, but here we go. Like, game on, you guys. And the first day doing my morning routine, I came up with a theme for the day. And because you guys, the best thing I could have done this first week back is not schedule meetings. I only had high priority meetings with my fractional CMO clients. So I think I had 2 meetings this whole week, which was amazing. I'm so glad I did that. I did that because of cycle tracking, which you guys learned about with Renee a couple episodes back. But turns out, just because it's the first week back from the break, the first week of the new year, this is something I'm going to continue doing every single January from now on. So, sorry, I keep hopping topics here. But going back to my first morning, I said, here we go. This is it. Day 1. I'm going to post on TikTok. I'm going to post on Instagram. This is it. This is it. I'm going for it. And I just decided, I was very inspired by something I read during my morning routine, which was the quote, "Creativity is curiosity." It's so simple, right? Creativity is curiosity. But I said, my 1% for the day is I'm just going to explore that quote and what it means to me. And that's enough, right? 1% can be exploration. 1% can be reflection. 1% can be a moment of gratitude. So when we think about getting 1% better every day, I think what repels or scares or turns off most people is they think it has to be an action. So if you think about this in the realm of fitness, right? If I am a bodybuilder or a runner or an athlete, if I want to get 1% better each day, I have to take an action. I have to lift a weight. I have to run a certain amount of minutes. I have to run a certain distance, right? Like, that's where our mind goes when we think about this concept of getting 1% better. But I'm here to challenge that. And when I really think about how I can get 1% better each day in 2024, and probably infinitely, because again, I'm obsessed and I love this stuff, I broke it down into 4 categories, which I already shared those with you, but I'm going to walk through them again in a more organized way. So getting 1% better can be exploration. That can be taking something that resonates with you and exploring it, not being attached to any outcome, just taking something that you heard, read, someone shared with you, and exploring it. Exploration. So you might listen to this podcast and that your 1% better is deciding if something like this is a good fit for you, right? It can really be anything that we want. But if we focus on exploring, like what I shared, creativity is curiosity. If I just explore that for a second, my brain is going to process something new. It's going to have a new thought. It's going to have a new feeling. Might even create a new belief. Having a new mantra, I would consider exploration, right? Because we are exploring what it feels like to try on a new belief. And that's what your mantras are all about, is trying that on, training your brain to believe something new. So that's what that exploration category is. Then there's reflection. Reflection is what I shared when something didn't go the way I wanted it to, and I was able to take the learning lesson from that. What could I have done better? What did I learn here? That's reflection. Okay, what did I learn here? How can I get better? What's the lesson when something crappy happens to us, for us, right? What is the lesson? We either get the result we want or the lesson we need. And taking the time to reflect and take note of that lesson, that is making you 1% better, sometimes more than 1%. And then the third one is gratitude. There are studies that prove that somebody who operates from a place of gratitude has significantly more peace than people who operate from, a place of negative thoughts or resentment, just thinking negatively about others. They are not going to have inner peace, and you cannot accomplish your wildest dreams without inner peace. Like, you can't just force everything that you want to come your way. And if you think about the moments in your life that you attracted the best things, you were probably feeling grateful, excited, happy, some type of inner peace when that thing happened, right? So gratitude, just giving yourself extra gratitude, or a moment where you are expressing gratitude, will make you 1% better. Try it, I promise. I'm going to share an example of that in my morning routine episode as well. And the last one, I put this last for a reason, is taking an action to a goal, because we think that should be number one. In order to get 1% better, I've got to take the action. I've got to do the things. And that's not necessarily true. Yes, that's a huge part of it. To be a better runner, I have to run. But that's obvious. I'm going to do that anyway. We set goals. We're going to work towards those goals regardless. So something that's on autopilot isn't really pushing us to be 1% better. So that's why the action one to me is like, we're already doing that. We're already checking that box. Okay. Now let's make sure this can still be part of our 1% better, because we've got to do it, right? So my 1% better today might be going for a run. That might be my 1% better that day, because that puts me 1% better in my health bucket, 1% better in my fitness goal bucket, 1% better mentally, because I had to mentally power through that run. It's all important. It all adds up. So those are the 4 ways to become 1% better. Is you can explore, you can reflect, you can take gratitude, working on your inner peace, and you can take action toward a goal. So to me, they're my content buckets. There's my ability to show up on social, because all I have to do is say, what did I do from my 1% checklist today? And how can I share that with someone else so that it encourages them to explore, or them to reflect, or them to have a moment of gratitude, or them to take action towards a goal, right? What do you guys think? So I chose to call it the 1% adventure because, A of all, like I said, 1% better is not new. It's not a new concept. But I wanted to really think about this over the span of a year and not have it feel like something to do or like a task. I wanted it to feel like an adventure, to feel fun. So I came up with the 1% adventure that will be 2024. And I'm doing this instead of a word. If a word resonates with me at some point, sure. But the word of the year has not done a lot for me in the past. But when I take on a new saying, a new feeling, a new belief, that's when things change for me. So I'm excited to continue the 1% adventure and see how it unfolds. Like I said, my TikTok account is for the 1% adventure solely. Like, TikTok loves niches. So that is going to be my niche over there, is just literally talking about this concept. And Instagram, we're going to kind of keep on doing what we're doing. I'm not going to change my whole Instagram account or anything like that. But my TikTok experiment is the 1% adventure. So I hope you guys will connect with me over there. We'll see how I like it. We'll see how it goes. I will say it is really interesting how many more views I'm getting on TikTok videos with only 55 followers versus Instagram with, 3,500 or whatever it is. So make sure you connect with us over there. They're both Elizabeth.Henson on Instagram, and TikTok should just be Elizabeth Henson. And welcome back, you guys. 2024 is going to be the best year. Please join me and hang out here at the Messy Success Podcast. Share this episode with a friend if you loved it. Leave us a review on iTunes. We could use some fresh reviews. I love you guys so much. Oh, I almost forgot some important announcements. Our in-person event is official. It is happening April 25 and 26 in Norfolk, Virginia. We are going to link the wait list in the show notes if you want all the details. We have our registration page almost ready to go. It might even be ready to go by the time this episode airs. So make sure you head over to the show notes. This is episode 137. So you're going to go to elizabethhenson.co/E137 and you will find the link to the wait list. Of course, you can find it on all the socials as well. You can just message me, email me. I'm really, really excited about that event. We are going to, the space will, oh my gosh, I get so kind of nervous, excited energy talking about it. My original goal for this event was 25 to 50 people. And then, the space that we got will hold up to 100. So, I'm allowing myself to dream about what might be possible if we can get close to 100 people. And the early bird rate is going to be around for the people on the wait list. So just make sure that you guys sign up for that. And I could not be more excited about that in-person event. It is going to be the best event of 2024. And I hope that you guys will at least check it out and see if you want to come. Okay, thank you guys. I will see you soon. Enjoy your week.